I don't know how long this post will stay up, or if I'll even still be around when you read it. I'm writing this on a burner laptop, using a VPN that I know damn well won't stop them if they want to trace me. I just need someone out there, anyone, to know what really happened. I was a senior research scientist at a facility you've probably heard about in whispers. Not Area 51 itself, but close. The real work never happens in the places they point to. They want conspiracy theorists chasing shadows in the desert while the real nightmares are buried beneath layers of rock, steel, and classified clearances. For years, my specialty was genetic systems engineering. I thought I was doing good work: cancer immunotherapies, antiviral modifications, bioshields for astronauts. Then the military came knocking. A civilian contractor, they said. Unlimited funding. Access to the kind of data I thought only existed in science fiction. It was the kind of offer you don't refuse. I signed a dozen NDAs. Swore my life away. They flew me in at night, blindfolded, no phones, no watches. I told myself it was worth it. This was history, real contact, the kind of discovery that changes everything we know about life itself. But I'm not writing this because of the discovery. I'm writing because of what we did with it. And because now, I'm almost certain something knows I'm talking. They called it Specimen E-317. We weren't supposed to use the word alien. Officially, it was extraterrestrial biological material of unknown origin. But everyone knew. The tissue samples weren't like anything on Earth. It started with DNA, or what we thought was DNA. It wasn't made of the same nucleotides we're used to. It had structures that folded back on themselves, sequences that seemed to rewrite when exposed to different environments. The molecule acted less like a blueprint and more like software. Self-correcting, self-expanding. Our job was simple on paper: analyze, replicate, and test integration with terrestrial genomes. That meant running experiments in sealed labs, working under insane protocols. Triple-layer airlocks, negative pressure rooms, suits that made us look like astronauts. Every single action required 2 signatures. Even the bathrooms had biometric locks. At first, it was breathtaking. We inserted fragments into bacterial cultures, and they didn't just survive, they thrived, adapting instantly to stresses that should have killed them. We tested them on mice next. The results were beyond miraculous: wound regeneration in seconds, neural response times off the charts, even resistance to lethal doses of radiation. Of course, the higher-ups weren't thinking about curing cancer. They were thinking about soldiers who could heal from a bullet wound in under a minute. Pilots who could survive radiation storms. Weapons platforms in human skin. The unspoken rule was, push it further. And the breach didn't happen all at once. It started as a glitch. That's what they called it in the report: clinical, dismissive. But I saw it with my own eyes, and it wasn't a glitch. We'd moved on from mice to primates. The subject K9, a rhesus macaque, had been injected with a stabilized strand of E-317 sequences. For weeks, it was fine. Better than fine, actually. It learned puzzles in record time. Its muscle tissue regenerated so fast we had to recalibrate the monitoring equipment. It was perfect. Then one morning, the biometric alarms started pinging. Nothing dramatic, just small anomalies, heartbeat irregularities, inconsistent oxygen intake. The animal should have been stressed, but instead, it was sitting unnervingly still. Watching us. I remember leaning in closer to the glass, trying to take notes. And then it spoke. Not in words, not exactly, but in this guttural mimicry of sound. Almost like it was trying to practice our language. Half the lab thought it was a fluke. The other half, terrified. We ran full diagnostics. Its genome had rewritten itself overnight. Sequences we hadn't inserted, couldn't have inserted, appeared in its code. We tried to initiate a containment purge, but before we could, the alarms went off. Not just the biometric ones. The big ones. Red strobes. Sealed doors. Automated voice shouting, containment breach, Sector 4. I can still hear the sound it made over the sirens. Not an animal scream. Not human either. Something in between. Panic doesn't even begin to describe it. 1 second we were scientists, following protocol. The next, we were animals ourselves, scrambling for exits that slammed shut in our faces. I saw Dr. Myers pounding his fists bloody against the reinforced glass. He kept screaming that the system had locked us in with it. The military had a failsafe, contain the scientists before containing the specimen. We were expendable. Through the red strobing light, I watched K-9, or whatever it had become, press its hands against the glass of its enclosure. The reinforced barrier wasn't supposed to break. But the glass bowed outward. Like something inside the animal was exerting pressure, reshaping physics around it. Soldiers stormed in, rifles up. They weren't aiming at us. They had eyes only for the thing inside the cage. The order was shouted, terminate the subject. But the bullets didn't matter. The impacts rippled through its body like pebbles tossed in water. Then it looked at us. And when I say, looked, I don't mean it turned its head. I mean I felt something inside my skull, like its gaze had bypassed my eyes entirely. A pressure, a whisper, a sense that it knew everything about me in an instant. That was when the lights cut out. The last thing I heard before darkness swallowed. When the lights came back, half the room was painted red. Not blood in the usual sense, more like liquefied tissue, sprayed across consoles and walls. The soldiers were gone. Some of my colleagues too. Just, gone. But the cage was empty. The military reacted fast. Whole sectors went into full lockdown. Armored shutters slammed down, alarms blaring, and we were herded out at gunpoint. They didn't care that we were scientists, they treated us like possible carriers. Like contaminants. We were stripped, scanned, scrubbed raw. Then interrogated, one by one. The story drilled into us was simple, there was a chemical fire. Containment had succeeded. Nothing left the facility. Sign here. Swear silence. Back to work in 48 hours. But I knew better. The thing wasn't destroyed. They didn't even try to convince us it was. I overheard one of the colonels on a secure line. He said, it adapted faster than anticipated. Tracking ongoing. Tracking. Not terminated. I should have walked away right then. Burned my badge, disappeared. But survival instinct had me frozen. I nodded, signed the papers, swallowed their lies. Because the alternative was a bullet in the back of my head. So I lived. But others weren't so lucky. Within a week, 3 of my colleagues resigned and then vanished completely. No forwarding addresses, no goodbyes. Just erased. And at night, when the base was silent, I swore I heard things in the ventilation. Clicking. Whispering. Like K-9 hadn't gone anywhere at all. I don't sleep much anymore. When I do, it isn't for long. Every time I close my eyes, I see that thing, its gaze piercing through me like I'm nothing but glass. And worse, sometimes I hear it. Not out loud, but inside. Words forming out of static, shaping into thoughts that aren't mine. At first, I thought it was PTSD. Hallucinations. My brain trying to process the horror. But then little things started happening. My phone would turn on in the middle of the night, screen glowing with no notifications. The TV flickered channels by itself. My reflection, just for a heartbeat, would lag, like it didn't keep up with me. Last week, I found something worse. A strand of hair on my pillow. Except it wasn't mine. Under the light, it shimmered, translucent, almost metallic. I bagged it, but by morning, the bag was empty. The military covered everything, scrubbed records, relocated staff. They're pretending it's contained. But I know better. I think whatever was in that cage isn't in the desert anymore. It's out here, moving through us, hiding in plain sight. And it remembers me. Sometimes, in the corner of my vision, I swear I see a shadow pause. Like it's waiting for me to notice. I don't know how much longer I can stay ahead of it. If I disappear after this post, just know, the breach wasn't an accident. It was the beginning. And if you ever wake up to something whispering inside your head, don't answer it. Because that's how it starts.